Hello, everybody. We've come to that time again. It is the end of the year, and as such, it is time for my second annual Top 10 Best Movies of Insert Your Number Here video. So, just before we get started, I want to set a couple ground rules. One, actually, differently from last year, I do have reviews for each and every single one of these movies, so I'm not going to be reviewing each movie here. I'm going to just say a little bit about why I liked it, why it's placed where it is, and then I will link the full review in the description, and if you want to go watch the full review, you can do so at your own leisure. So don't get on me about like, well, you didn't say enough about why this is there. Second, I didn't see every movie this year. I'm sorry. There's just a lot of movies that I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see 1917 and Uncut Gems before now, but I didn't get a chance to, so you won't see them on this list. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's plenty of other ones that do have this on there. I didn't see Irishman yet. I didn't see Marriage Story yet. Bunch of movies I just didn't get around to watching. So this is just the movies that I saw and that resonated with me on some level. So let's get started with number 10. Number 10 is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Maybe it shouldn't be. It's not exactly the best How to Train Your Dragon movie, but I will say it is the best DreamWorks threequel, and it does tie the story up very well. I love the ending. It's very emotional. It resonates with me a lot. It's just a really good coming-of-age story, leaving home story, accepting change story. There's a lot of growth in all of our major characters, especially with Hiccup and Toothless, and it's just really satisfying to see, and I almost cried in a theater full of children. Number 9 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. I wanted to like this movie more than I did. I know I gave it a Spectabulous. I think I gave it a Spectabulous. I don't exactly remember. But the fact of the matter is, the beginning of the movie is a little difficult to get through. And once you get through that, it's definitely worth it. The whole rest of the movie is great. But it's just getting through that part that's really not great. That drags the whole thing down for me. Apart from that, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, of course. Zendaya as MJ, she's great. Jacob Batalon as Ned. Especially Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Never thought I'd see Mysterio in a movie. Never thought I'd see Jake Gyllenhaal play him. So just to see these things happen in my lifetime is amazing, especially so early in my lifetime. Where do we really go from here? I don't know, but I'm very excited to see what happens with Spider-Man now that he's back in the MCU. Hopefully we go with something along the lines of what I predicted forever ago, but that remains to be seen. So let's move on. Number 8 is Toy Story 4. For a lot of the same reasons that How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World was number 10, but the animation quality over at Pixar is just far and away miles above what they have going on at DreamWorks. Not to say that DreamWorks animation is bad, but Pixar animation, there's a part, the very beginning is a flashback. Then you see this heavy rainstorm outside of the house, and it's just that's just real life. That's just camera footage of a real life storm. That's just real. There's no way that's animated. You can't convince me that certain things in this movie are animated. I'm sorry. But the story that they send Woody on in this movie, kind of passing the torch of the favorite toy onto Forky this time around, because he's already had to accept that new toys come along and take his place. That's something that he learned in the very first movie. But now he's learned that maybe his life isn't all about being a children's toy. So that plays out very interestingly over the course of the rest of the movie. And the ending, like I said about How to Train Your Dragon, is very gut-punching for me, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like is how they did my boy Buzz. He didn't do anything in the whole movie, but that's neither here nor there. Number 7 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. How to Train Your Dragon in Hollywood is what I was going to say. The first adult movie on this list. I'm not a child. But I love Quentin Tarantino, love Brad Pitt, love Leonardo DiCaprio, love Margot Robbie. But interestingly enough, this doesn't exactly feel like a Tarantino movie from visual style and from the pace. It's probably the slowest Tarantino movie since Hateful Eight, which is, I actually really appreciate that. It gives us more time to get used to the world, get used to the characters. Every single thing that happened I found interesting. There were a lot of moments that built up really good suspense, really high tension, and I enjoyed them all. And the ending is just fucking phenomenal. What? Honestly, what else could you want? I think there's supposed to be an extended cut, which I'm definitely going to watch if that's real. I think it's a Netflix thing. I don't know yet. But loved it. Loved everything about it. Only thing is that it's just I kind of feel like I got everything out of it. That's why I only really want to watch the extended cut to see if there's more in there. But as far as the original version of the movie, I would probably only buy it on Blu-ray for the purpose of having it in my collection. I don't really feel myself needing to watch it again anytime soon, so that's why it's so low ranking. I'm sorry. Number 6, Avengers Endgame. You probably expected me to have that like as my number 1 or something. I'm sorry. I love this movie. I've seen it so many times. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies ever made. It's just the fact that, like, it had so much to do. It had so much to do in the way of, like, closing off so many different arcs that it didn't really feel like it had too much time for itself. And I'm not going to say the beginning is, like, super slow and boring or whatever, because I really do like the beginning. I just wish we'd gotten more time in the post-apocalypse after Thanos snapped his fingers. But I get it. You know, the movie had movie to do. It's 3 hours. There's only so much you can do. Most of my complaints are just nitpicking. I'm not really going to say Avengers Endgame is bad because it didn't go down the way I wanted it to. It was just, I kind of expected more. I still love it. I think it's great, but they could have done better. But in order to do better, they would have had to make the movie much longer. So I'm not really going to blame Marvel for this movie not being as great as it could have been. Number 5 is Ford versus Ferrari. It's the first, like, based on a true story movie I've seen in a while. It was actually really good and interesting. And it's just, like I said in my review, I have so much respect for the dynamic that's built between Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles over the course of the film. I even remember their names. But, like, it's just, it's based purely on respect for what they're doing. Like, they don't particularly like each other, and it's a really good allegory for how, you know, corporate meddling can really fuck with the artistic process. And like I said in my review, you can put that into games, movies, TV shows, books, whatever you want to do. But it's definitely there, and it's definitely good to pay attention to. It kind of serves as a precautionary tale to, you know, be careful if you take a deal with someone or if you get signed on somewhere. Just be careful and do your best to preserve your own artistic vision. And I think that's very important. So that's why it's where it is. Number 4, Rocket Man. I think it's going to be a long, long time till this video's over. I love Taron Egerton as Elton John. I love the fantastical nature that they went with as far as telling the story, because, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody is basically just a by-the-numbers retelling of the life and death of Freddie Mercury or whatever. A Star is Born is just, you know, a dramatic telling of depression and fame or whatever. But Rocket Man does both of those things, but it makes it into an actual musical, so that the music doesn't only come as a byproduct of the story getting to a place where now there's music. Music pushes the story along, and I really enjoyed that because they just got to have a lot of fun with their imaginations and everything. And Taron killed it. Absolutely killed it. He deserves some sort of nomination, some sort of acknowledgement for his performance in this movie. I think it would be a crime for him to go completely unnoticed. Number 3, John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. It was just a really good movie. Like, really exciting, really interesting. The pace was amazing. The action is just as kinetic and impactful as it has been in the last movies. Keanu Reeves, same great stoic performance as John. The action, the freaking choreography, it's all top notch in this movie. There's just really nothing to not like about it. So I don't think I need to spend too much time on it. I think I could just kind of move on now, right? Yeah. Number 2, Parasite. I was just blown away. Like, it's honestly almost my favorite movie of the year. It's so interesting the entire time, because the first half of the movie you're wondering, where's the turn? Where does it stop being, you know, sunshine and rainbows? Where does it kick into high gear? And then after that happens, it's like, well, now how the fuck is this going to end? Where do these characters end up after this? What's next? And just the hard shift in emotional states is so expertly done and so well handled. It's just such a masterclass in cinema, and I kind of want to just go watch all of Bong Joon-ho's films now. I might do that. Who knows? I might just do that. Number 1, Shazam. It's not the best movie of 2019. It's not the most technically perfect movie of 2019, but it hit me so hard that I just couldn't shake it. You know, like, it set the bar very early. This movie came out April 5th. Since then, I was like, I really hope a movie comes along that I personally enjoy more than Shazam. And so far, that hasn't happened. And I've only seen the movie twice and a half. It's like my new favorite Christmas movie. I didn't get a chance to watch it this Christmas, but every Christmas for the rest of my life, I will watch Shazam. Uh, I love the family dynamic. I love the themes of the movie. I love the performances from Asher Angel and Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi is just a 6-foot tall child, so it makes perfect sense for him to play Captain Marvel here. There's nothing about the movie I didn't love except the CGI is a little meh in some places, and the 7 deadly sins don't really look too distinct from one another to a point where you can immediately tell which one is which. But after looking at them for a while, you kind of get the basic gist. So even that's not a real complaint. It's just kind of a thing. It could have been a little bit better. But overall, this movie had a very small budget for a superhero film, and it did such a good job. I loved everything so much. And I really hope that they get the second one up and off the ground before all these kids get too old. That's all I'm saying. Well, there you go. That's my favorite movies of 2019 in order. And of course, there is no light without dark. There is no day without night. There will be a worst. Expect that very, very soon. And I can already tell what you think might be my number one. You're probably right. But I'll see you then. Please hang tight because I'm really happy to be back. So I'll see you very soon.